More than half a century old, finish made. We're going to get to restoring this beauty in just a few minutes. We've got to address some problems. You just wait till the end of the video. You just wait. Before we get on to that, I want to thank you for coming here, clicking on my video and watching it. I invite you to hit that like button before you leave and subscribe as well so you can check out lots more projects just like this coming up. A finish made beauty, like I said, a Pukko style. This is a real nice knife. It's a handsome piece, but it needs some attention. The leather, some rivets that are need to be polished up, cleaned up, probably a re-dye. And the owner pointed out that he has no way to attach this to his belt. There's no belt loop or anything now, so we've got to put a belt loop on this sheath, so we'll do that. The knife itself, you can see a nice long slender blade there, really cool. Kind of a high, like a saber grind. Doesn't appear to be much of a micro bevel on it at all. Little bolster here, maybe a nickel or something like that. Looks like some beautiful burl wood handle, but it's pretty chewed up and gnarled up back here. Now with our initial assessment done, I'm going to go ahead and start on the wire wheel. This is always my first stage in a restoration like this, just to see what's there. Maybe there'll be some deeper rust or pitting that we'll have to use the belt grinder or something to take off. Maybe we can carve off a bunch of this oxidation here on the bolster. This is just a light duty way, very mild start to see. Maybe this is enough. We'll find out. Before and after. You can see for the blade, that's probably plenty adequate. No deep pitting or anything, just some beautiful patina. We'll clean out the other side to match, then get on to the woodwork. Youch, that is one chewed up wood handle. You can see we're missing some pieces, but we have plenty of bulk there that I can carve this down to a nice shape. We want to keep some of these lines still, but we'll just re-establish them in a little deeper. We have the bulk here that we can do that. You'll still have lots of handle. For this, I'll use my 2x72 with a slack belt. So I've removed the platen. I'm using a scalloped belt here so it don't carve into the edges of the wood. This helps you not to get like edge marks like this. If you went into it with a hard edge belt like this, you could cut this edge in here. We don't want that. What a gorgeous piece of handle wood that was hiding under that lacquer. I'll show you in just a second. I'm going to give it just 2 minutes here of work with a bit of sandpaper first, just to refine it a little bit more. Couldn't get those edges perfect on the belt grinder, but there we go. Just blend them in there. Oh, what a beautiful piece of handle material. Just look at that. Wow. And the factory covered it up with varnish, which was pretty customary for that era. Everything, all axe handles were buried in varnish. And now, thankfully, a lot of like higher end companies and stuff work like Council Tool and Liam Hoffman and Gransfors. You go and watch the story on, I believe it was the Gransfors brand. How in that era they painted all their heads and they varnished and painted all their handles and everything, and realized that nobody wanted it. Just didn't work. They went back to raw finished blades, just oiled. Same thing with the handles, just oiled. And look at the richness now that we have in that wood that just doesn't show through varnish. Just the beautiful quilting, and little bits of spalting in there. Look at that. What a stunning handle. And you see we've kept those lines there. Just brought the whole handle down, made it a little smaller. Beautiful. Now it's time to take care of our edge. This is a fairly thin edge, but as you can see, do that light test reflection. That means there is a surface there. There's a plane orthogonal to the edge that shouldn't be there. There shouldn't be a plane there. You can see some hard chatter marks. But look at that, kind of right here, kind of chewed away there. We'll make quick work of that. So let's wet down here. I'm going to go with the Kuramaku Blue Black. Real nice stone. Just give it a quick clean up. This stone does drink a little bit of water at the start. It's a little bit thirsty. Not too bad. I wouldn't it's class as a splash and go. It's not a soaker stone, but it does like a couple wet downs. It'll dry out pretty quick at the start. So what do I want to do here now? This is close to a Scandi grind, almost a single bevel, but to just work on there, I think it'll be a little bit too thin. I think I'm going to fall on that Scandi bevel. So you see, I'm just letting it plunk down there on that surface. Then I'm just going to drive a little bit of pressure. I'm going to convex it in a little bit as I'm working. So we're going to see some of this work up the face of that Scandi grind. But I'm rotating almost like a motorcycle throttle. I'm guessing some of you guys will know what that's like. Rotating a little bit of pressure down. So we're getting this kind of effect right here. We're kind of blending down into the edge. Steepening it ever so slightly just to make it a little more durable and to get to our apex a little bit quicker. Using both hands here and lots of pressure here now. I'm working this stone pretty hard. When you work your stones like that, you want to try to make sure you use as much of the stone surface as you can, because you will dish your stones very quickly to work them like that. Analyze what we're doing. We bring that edge in. We do have some bad chattering there. Again, rotating like that motorcycle throttle. I'm still sitting on the plane of the Scandi grind. See what I mean about your stone drying out? This is pretty much dry here now, just a little chalky paste. And that kind of sits in and creates a glaze. Your stone doesn't cut. You don't need the dressing stone yet, but just a good scrub and we can get back to work. Now we're just about done with this stone. Have a look. Nice blended in edge there. It's going to look lovely once we've got a little bit of polish. If I could offer you a little tip now, before I go into that, I'm going to just go to nice clean stone. This is always my finishing step on a stone. Nice clean stone, reduce pressure, and cutting strokes only, single cutting strokes. So I've stopped the back and forth. I'm not driving as hard. Nice and easy. But that tip that I was going to offer is don't save any work to be done on finer grit stones. I made this mistake when I started out sharpening, and that was I got to a certain degree on a coarse stone, and if I had a little dull spot left over or something, well, I'm going to move up and go through a couple other grits anyway, so I'll take care of it then. Or if there was a spot I was a little less happy with, well, I'll take care of it on the finer stone. Don't do that. Sharpen with your lowest grit stone as if you're stopping with that stone. And this knife here now is so viciously, if you could feel this edge, how crisp that apex comes together here. I mean, it is just frighteningly sharp on this 340 grit stone, I believe it is. Just frighteningly sharp. If you were a butcher or something, a meat cutter for a living, this would just be so effective. Now we'll move up. Most of you guys will know where I'm going right now, and that is the 1000 Shapton glass stone. My favorite stone I have ever used. So good. Now, exact same process repeated. I'll go back to the back and forth strokes. Lots of pressure, rotating down that throttle hand, driving the pressure of the edge into the stone. So we just mildly convex it, start bringing it into our apex that we've already created. So this is just to start refining the edge right now. And this thing is gonna cut so well. Again, that same finishing technique. We've used it for years now. Clean the stone, perfectly clean. You gotta have an Agura for this. A nice scrub, a good rinse, and a little wash down. Don't wipe it. No towels or nothing like that, or you end up getting little fibers and particles and hairs. You don't want any of that. Just lots of water and just your hand. Now, this edge is so unbelievably sharp, but we're going to go with that light pressure, cutting strokes only, single strokes. So I'm laying on that scanny grind, just rotating that pressure in ever so slightly. And repeat. Again, light pressure at this stage now. I'm just going to help minimize any burr that's left down there. Viciously sharp edge. We're going to do one more step after this. Now the final stage, have a look at this stone. The Nanawa Aotoshi, and that is because this knife deserves a little polish. And this is my favorite polishing stone. Let's have a look at the blade face. Let me just dry it so you're not thrown off by the reflection. But have a look there now. Not really any polish. You can see a lot of different facets on there. And that's because of the structure of that Shapton. That's the finish you're left with. And some people may not care for a bushcraft knife. Who cares, right? Not a big deal. But this 2000, you're still not up to an absurdly high grit. But there's something about the structure of this stone that just molds and blends, and you just, the best way I can explain it is it just doesn't leave facets. It's almost like when I'm using my belt grinder, it's like using that slack belt. Like it conforms. I know it's impossible because it's a hard structure, but it's just something special about the way it molds and blends all those facets together to create a polish. Now I'm not focusing as much on my edge at this time. I don't care that much about having a polished 2000 grit edge. Of course we'll get there. But what I'm focusing on is those flat faces. Just nice even pressure. And with those few passes, have a look at that finish we're getting. Just that quickly. I remember watching a video way back in the day with, I believe it was Ray Mears. And he's out in the forest. He takes out his whetstone, gets a little bit of water from the stream, and he sharpens his bushcraft knife there in the woods on his synthetic whetstone. And oh, what a inspirational video that was for me at the time. And the look of that bushcraft knife, those polished Scandi bevels, oh, was just so beautiful. few light wipes now on a compounded paddle strap. Just coated a little bit of rouge worked in there, just to help even a little more blend those scratches together. Edge test. Just right. And as for the aesthetics, I think we nailed that as well. That looks lovely, and you can see how that kind of, on stones like that, you kind of plane down, you see the variations in the original blade grind, or what might be variations from past poor grinding and sharpening, things like that. But over time, if this thing is continuously sharpened on a whetstone, eventually you'll take in this whole Scandi bevel and remove all that variation. You'll just have one big beautiful polished face there. Now, I haven't been requested to restitch the sheath or anything. The client didn't ask for that, so I'm just going to do a full cleanup. We're going to put that piece in. The cleanup is going to start with one of the things, my pet peeves on these old sheaths, is when these pins get grimy like that. Just detracts so much from the look of the sheath. And my answer is a Dremel with a little wire wheel. There we go. Much better. Look at the difference that makes just to clean up those pins like that. Properly restored, in my opinion. You don't want flawless. When you have a half-century old item like this, look at that handle material. Wow, what a beautiful piece of wood. When you have something of this age, this much character built in, you don't want flawless. You don't want to throw out this sheath because it's got some nicks and dings and stains in it. You want to treat it, recondition it, preserve it. Make it last another half century, because that's what these tools like these, tools like I make, are designed to do. So that's it for this video, guys. Make sure you hit that like button before you leave, subscribe before you leave, leave me a comment down below, and if you need work done like this, be careful who you're getting to do it. If you want me to do it, go ahead. My email's at the top of the comments there now. You can email me. We can see about getting it done for you. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.